Okay, so starting with the 2020 A-level question, we'll start with what is meant by scarcity and explain the problem of scarcity using a PPC. 3 marks, a question that has been repeated again and again and again. So what do you write again? You write what is scarcity, the limitedness of resources compared to unlimited wants. How do you show that on a PPC? You draw, say the PPC shows the maximum possible combination of goods we can produce. So any point outside that is scarcity. Is that okay? Can you all handle that for 3 marks? Same question now. No point me explaining that again and again and again now. Fine. Okay, that's 2020 question number 1. Then we'll go to 2020 question number 2. Why productive inefficiency and allocative inefficiency are considered wasteful in resource utilization? Now, this is something that we already know, but they ask in a different way. Now, usually we talk about productive efficiency and allocative efficiency. Here they are saying productive inefficiency and allocative inefficiency. So we'll talk about this. We'll talk a little bit about this. So you can say, first of all, what is productive efficiency? Productive efficiency, right? Efficiency is where the economy is producing, right? Producing at the most efficient level, or in other words, the level where the cost is minimized. Okay, that's productive efficiency. So then in that you have full employment and full production. So you can say, then you can say, in a situation of, okay, in a situation, okay, I'll explain and then I'll copy and paste the answer directly without wasting time typing. Okay, so what is productive inefficiency? What do you think, guys? Any guesses? We'll just think, what is productive inefficiency? Now you all know what is productive efficiency. What is productive inefficiency? What do you all think? So productive inefficiency can be you don't have full employment. That means there is unemployment and there is no full production. So you're not using your resources to its maximum sustainable level. So machines are idle, right? Let's say if a machine can work for 8 hours, you're only working the machine at, let's say, 4 hours. If people can work 8 hours a day, they are only working 2 hours. Other time they're just gossiping and talking. That is what you say productive inefficiency. So that leads to what? That leads to wasteful resources. You're not producing the maximum sustainable level. So the resource is not fully employed, there is no full production, and as a result, yes, you can say that you're not even minimizing your cost. Right? You can talk about all of that. Then what is allocative inefficiency? Just think, guys, what do you think allocative inefficiency is? If they give you a new question like this, we'll see how many of you all can think and say something. What is allocative inefficiency? Now it has to be the opposite of allocative efficiency. What is allocative inefficiency? Exactly. So you're not producing what the society wants, no? So allocative inefficiency is where you're allocating resources to produce a combination which is not preferred by the society. Now society wants 100 of this and let's say 50 of this, but you're producing something else. You're using your resources to produce something that is not wanted by the society. So you're wasting your resources. Now, for example, now let's say, right? Okay, now let's say, for example, okay, I decided to do a seminar for you all on, let's say, microeconomics and macroeconomics, right? What is micro and what is macro? Now, microeconomics, macroeconomics, you all already know. So if I am allocating my resource, that means my labor, my laptop for 2 hours to teach you microeconomics and macroeconomics, I am just wasting my resources. No, my effort is in vain. Maybe if I make a tute also in vain because you all know micro and macro. That is kind of allocative inefficiency. You're producing what the society doesn't want. So you have allocated your resources to produce something that is not wanted. So therefore, that is also you're wasting your resources. Got it? So it's that concept that you have to highlight. So how do you put that into words? Let me give you the direct marking scheme answer itself, that you have an idea about how they put that into words. Give me a second. This is the 2020, right? 2020 answers. Okay. This is the answer given on the marking scheme, right? Yes, I'll explain in a bit. What? Hold on. Ayo. Got a screenshot. Where did it go? Okay. And look at this case. Look at the thing that they are saying here. Okay, I'll just zoom in this a little so that you all can see. Okay, see, productive in now what is productive efficiency? Productive efficiency is where you're producing at the most efficient level, and you're producing at therefore at the least cost output, right? Least cost method. See, productive inefficiency occurs when a firm is not producing its output in the least costly way. They are writing the complete opposite. It fails to obtain the maximum output per unit of input, or a unit of output per minimum amount of input. So now what is productive efficiency? From the amount of inputs you have, you're trying to get the maximum output, or you're trying to get a certain amount of output by using the least amount of inputs. That is what productive efficiency is. But inefficiency is the opposite one. You're failing to do so. As a result, it fails to produce its output at the lowest unit cost. And then see, when you take the economy as a whole, it is unable to get the maximum output from the given amount of resource. Can you see? Same thing, they are writing the opposite. Productive efficiency is where from the amount of inputs you have, you try to get the maximum possible output. But what is inefficiency? You're unable to do that. Yeah. This means the economy cannot stay on the production possibility frontier with full employment and full production. This forces the economy to operate below the production possibility frontier, resulting in underutilization or unemployment of resources. Is that clear, guys? Same thing, they have wrote the opposite. Yes, makes sense? No? Yeah, they are saying you're not producing at the least costly way. They are saying that. Then they are saying you're unable to get the maximum out. You're saying then you're producing below the PPC, right? You cannot stay on full employment. So same thing, opposite of productive efficiency. Then look at allocative inefficiency. Look at this. What are they saying here? Under allocative inefficiency, they are saying occurs when the economy fails to allocate scarce resources to produce the goods. Most times they are failing. In other words, they are saying the economy is not allocating resources to produce what the society wants. They are failing to do so. That is what you call allocative inefficiency. And see, when the value that consumers place on a product, that is the marginal benefit, is not equal to the marginal cost. Marginal benefit is not equal to the marginal cost. Then what happens? You're wasting resources. You're either overproducing or you're underproducing. You're not producing what society wants. So you're either overproducing that good or you're underproducing that good. That's allocative inefficiency. Is that okay? Can handle something like that? Now, those are kind of new questions. You might not find this in your tute, but based on some common sense, you have learned allocative efficiency and productive efficiency. Then inefficiency has to be the opposite of that. Fine. It can occur if the economy is productively efficient. Yes, you can say that also. You can say that even when there is productive efficiency, you can have allocative inefficiency. Yes, you can say that. Okay. Yes, you all can take a screenshot, right? These are normal marking scheme answers. These are there in the link that I would have shared with you all of all the past paper PDFs. It's there in that. So you all can use it. Okay. Right. Any questions, guys? Shall we move to the next? I'll just leave it big like this itself. But I'll turn the question on to I'll move the question onto this side. Okay, I don't have the space otherwise. Okay, the question I'll put it on top here. Hold on. This is the question. Okay, right. The last paragraph. Okay, so the last paragraph is, remember, in allocative efficiency we say, right, the marginal cost equals marginal benefit. Remember that part. See, when the value consumer places on a product, that is his price. In other words, the marginal benefit. Okay, the price they are willing and able to pay. That's what the value the consumer puts on the product. Does not equal to the cost of resources used. That's the marginal cost. So when that marginal benefit, or in other words, the price is not equal to marginal cost, what happens? You are not allocating your resources properly. So you're either producing more than what the society wants, you're producing less of that good than what society wants. So you're not allocating resources to the ideal quantity. You're not producing what the society prefers. You're producing either more, you're either producing less. That's what the last paragraph there is talking about. Fine. Questions, problems? Okay, done. Then moving to the next one. Next one, what are the main functions of an economic system? Guess what you all think? What are the main functions of an economic system? Not functions of a price. Functions of an economic system? What do you think? The main functions of an economic system is to answer those three economic problems, right? So look at this. Without wasting time, let me directly put the answer from the marking scheme. Okay. So the main function is to, now why is an economic system created? An economic system was created in order to answer the three basic economic problems. That is what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce. So the main functions are that. The main functions of an economic system is to answer those three questions. Look at this, how they have given you the answer. See, every economy, irrespective of its nature, must solve the three basic economic questions regarding the functioning of an economy. The three main functions are therefore, look at this, determining what goods to produce. That's the main one. That is the allocative function. So they have to first decide what goods are they going to produce. That's the first function. The second function of an economic system is decide how are they going to produce. The production function, determine how these goods are going to be produced. And the third one is determining how to distribute, who is going to get these goods and services, whom to produce. So it's the same thing that they have asked, but in a little bit of a different way. Is that okay? Can handle main functions of an economic system? Yeah. Yep, all good. Okay. Then the next one. Explain what happens to a country's production possibility curve due to a pandemic such as COVID-19 using a PP. Good questions. That was like a current context question that came on that year. So what can you say, guys? How can you kind of explain this? So this can be a nice longer explanation, guys. Now the past paper had a very interesting explanation. Let me show you the past paper answer. Okay. Now they are saying there is COVID-19. What will happen to the PPC of the country? Okay, look at this. What happens to a production possibility? What happens to a country's production capacity due to a pandemic disease such as COVID-19 depends on the impact on resource endowment and the productivity. Remember, the determinants of a PPC is its resource endowment and productivity. So how it will affect will depend on what happens to that. See, if the pandemic makes a significant impact, now remember guys, now this was during the start of the pandemic, right? So still people don't know much, right? So if the pandemic makes a significant impact on the labor force and the productivity, then the PPC will shift inwards. So if it has made a significant impact, if a lot of people die, a lot of people can't, travel to work and their productivity goes down, if that happens, there will be a significant impact. And then what will happen? The PPC will shift. Okay. And then They have also said, look at this, if the pandemic does not make a significant impact, maybe, normal is there, but people are wearing masks and they are still going to office and all of that is usually working. So if it doesn't make a significant impact on the labor force and the productivity, it is unlikely to reduce the production capacity. In this situation, although the pandemic may not influence the productive capacity, that's a potential output, the utilization of resources can be affected. Now, if the PPC causes a significant impact, then if the COVID pandemic causes a significant impact, PPC will shift. But if the pandemic doesn't cause that much of a severe impact, normally, people are wearing masks, some people are working from home, 2-3 days small lockdown is there. In that situation, the PPC won't shift, but there can be some levels of unemployment. So you can move from maybe point A to point C or even point A to point B. There will be inefficiency, there will be unemployment, but the PPC might not shift. Is that clear, guys? How they answered a question like that? What happens when there is COVID? Did you figure out how to answer that? Yeah. So your answer has to start off with what is your main answer point. You first say that the impact will depend on how it affects, right? The impact on PPC, right? Impact on the PPC will depend on how it affects the resource endowment and resource productivity. Then they say, if there is a significant impact, then what can happen? Then the resource endowment and productivity will decrease. As a result, what happens? They say PPC will shift inwards. But if there is no significant impact, a normal minimized impact, right? If there is no significant impact, then what would happen? It will not affect the resource endowment or productivity. It will not affect that. But what it will affect? It will affect the utilization of resources. That means it can lead to unemployment. So there is no significant impact, but some people are staying at home now, they can't work. Not that now, if the people have died, then hospitalized, then that's about it, then significant impact. But if the people just get the virus and for 1 week they're at home now resting, then there is no significant impact. Then there is unemployment. So that is what you have to explain. Is that clear, guys? Fine. So in the first situation, what will happen? The PPC will shift inward, right? In this one, PPC will shift inward. In the second one, what happens? It's a point movement. So you have to give both the sides of it, not just one side. Okay. Explain one instance and explain the cause of it with examples. I don't think they would give you the full mark unless somewhere you have mentioned that if it is not that serious, then there will be unemployment. That has to be there somewhere in your answer. Okay. Done. Then the last question. Same question repeated, right? Explain why division of labor increases the level of production in an economy. Fine. Last time they asked you to state. Now the same thing, you change it into a paragraph. Can handle. We did this in the 2017 paper. I think 2017, yes. How it leads to an increase in production. You can talk about it leads to specialization, reduce waste, right? But higher levels of efficiency reduces the cost, economies of scale, higher levels of innovation. All of that we discussed is what you have to now put into a paragraph and you have to write. We discussed this in the first paper that we did today. I think that was the 2017 paper, question number 5. Okay, right. That is also done. So we have 2 more papers to go. Shall we take a small 5-minute of a break and then come back? Okay, so we'll take a break until 5:30, and then the last 30 minutes we'll do the last 2 papers. The 2022 paper is an interesting paper. Both the papers are nice, right? So take a small break and come back by 5:30.